So you go to boost your salt cell and you realize there's a green light flashing. You look a little bit closer and it says Inspect Cell. Don't worry, in today's video, we're going to show you how to deal with that. So here's a few things that you're going to need. You could either use muriatic acid or vinegar. You're going to need a pair of channel locks, maybe some grease, a plug, a bucket, and a little bit of water as well. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the pump off. So because the pool I'm dealing with is below grade, meaning that the equipment is lower than the water level in the pool, I have to shut all the valves on the pool so that the water doesn't rush back at me when I take the salt cell off. Another thing I do is I take the automatic cleaner that's in the wall and I put it up on the deck. That way, that's not rushing back at me as well. Usually the cleaners are before a valve, but if you're in a situation where the cleaner is after a valve, then you could probably just close the valve and shut those off as well. However, in my situation, as you can see, the hose is before the valve, so pulling the cleaner out of the pool just makes it so that the water doesn't run back at me while I'm pulling the cell off and working with it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the salt cell from the generator. I'm going to unplug it, and then I'm going to break the unions free and undo them. Now, as you can see, this one is absolutely packed. There's a ton of calcium buildup on the inside of the cell. So we're going to plug the one end, and then we're going to add muriatic acid and water to the and we're just going to pour it in. There's a few ways you can do this. You could do it the way that I'm doing, where you pour a little bit of acid, a little bit of water. You could mix the acid and the water in a bucket and pour it in that way. You can use just straight up vinegar and replace of the acid. But regardless what you do, you'll notice that the calcium will start to dissolve and break down due to the acid, and you'll get this vigorous bubbling action going on. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this go until it stops bubbling. As you can see here, sometimes you might need to flip it over and plug the other side, refill it, and you just basically let it go until it stops bubbling. Then you empty it out and you pull the plug, and as you can see, this one is nice and clean. Because I'm dealing with acid, realistically I should be wearing gloves. I have a bucket of water by hand. You could have baking soda, something to dilute the acid or to neutralize the acid. I then go ahead and I rinse off the salt cell in case there's any bubbling that comes over the edge and on the salt cell. You'll also notice that the end that plugs into the transformer is nowhere near the bucket. That's because there are little probes or little pins on the inside of that, and if you get acid or anything on them, it will dissolve them and they will start to break down. This piece that I'm pointing out here is the flow switch. That's what lets the salt cell know that there's water running through it. You'll also know that there's a direction of flow on the salt cell. You need to make sure that the direction of flow of water is going in the right direction. So all you got to do is make sure that that arrow is pointing towards the direction of flow or the return going back to the pool, and you should be good to go. The other thing you can do is take a picture or just look at the salt cell before you take it off and make sure that you're putting it back on in the same direction. I then go ahead and grease up the gaskets that are inside of these unions, and I tighten them back up. I can then plug it back in and turn on the equipment. Because I was below grade, I had to close off all the valves, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I reopen everything that I closed. I'm also going to put the cleaner that's sitting on the deck back in the pool before I start the equipment. Go ahead and I start back up the equipment, making sure that everything is open that I closed, and you'll notice that the Inspect Cell light is off. Now once the salt cell recognizes everything and goes through its process, the green light will be back on, but it'll be solid this time. Now I can go ahead and boost, and everything should be good. Now that everything's good on the salt cell, it should be producing chlorine, and we should be back to normal operation. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you got something out of it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.